There, welcome to my YouTube channel. How you all doing? In today's video, we're going to be recreating this beautiful style on the screen. If this is the first time on this YouTube channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe and drop your comments on the comment section. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always coming back to watch my videos. Please, anytime you finish watching, always help us to like the videos and also drop your comments. Thank you guys for watching this video. So we are going to be creating this style that we are seeing on the screen right now, and watch to the end so that you don't miss any parts on the video. So let's get down to it. So here is my skirt that I've already drafted, my basic skirt pattern that I've drafted here. So the length that I have here, so you know that the style that we have seen there, we have the basic parts, the basic skirt parts, the pencil parts, right, before the flare, the two-step. So the basic part is what I've already have on this part. This is for the front part. So I fold my fabric to cut it, right, and I have it, the length that I'm making use of here is 22 inches. That includes the half inch I'm going to use to join to the flare part that I'm going to use to turn the waist area. So I'm going to be using lining to turn the waist. I'm not going to add band on this skirt. Then I came down 10 inches, right? I came down 10 inches. Then I've removed half inch here to shaping the center, to curve the center, right, the center front. My hip, I make use of 10 inches. Then I mark the waist circumference divided by 4. Then I added 2 inches for side seam. There's not going to be that for the front. Then my hip circumference divided by 4, then plus 2 inches for side seam. Then the down part, minus 1.25 from your hip measurement, then I curve it. So this is what we have here. Then I have cut it with my lining as well, right? So this is the lining along with the fabric. So I'm going to open this up. So the way we turn our down part in our normal skirt, I'm not going to turn the down part. You can see that I cut the lining and the fabric in the same length, right? So that because we are going to attach something else to this part, so we don't need that finishing turning off our down skirt on this. So this is for my back, right? So I just place the front panel on this, then mark for my zip, then shaping the zip area. If you watch other my video on how to make basic skirts, you are going to see the process I've done here. So what we are focusing on is to turn the waist and also to attach our peplum and the down part. So here I have my dart, so I'm going to be sewing the darts on both the fabric and on the lining. I will be sewing the lining of the back and the lining of the front. I'll sew them together, right? So I'll sew lining to lining, fabric to fabric, that is, so the side I will be sewing my side seam, lining to lining, then fabric to fabric. Then I'll do that, then come back to show you. So guys, I've already sewed this. So I've sewed this side, right? So I just place them right side face each other this way. This is the main fabric, right side face each other. Then I've sewed the side and iron it with my 2 inches seam allowance at the side. So that's what I use and sew this. Then I've ironed it flat this way. Then I've also sewn the dart for the back, right? So this is the dart, this is the right side, and this is the wrong side. I've also sewn both sides. So this is what we have now. So I'm going to place it this way, right side face each other this way, right? So this is the back. So I'll be picking it this way. Then I will measure for my zip. Then you know there would not going to be slit at this down part because we're attaching it to a peplum. So I'm going to measure for my zip for this upper part. I'll measure where the zip will be. So I'm going to be using 9 inches. So let's just use 9.5 inches, right? So I'll be making use of 9.5 inches, which is here. By the time I remove half here to use my lining to turn it, I'll be remaining with 9 inches, which is okay to zip down to wear it, right? So from here this way now, I'm going to be sewing it with my 1.5 inches the seam allowance that I have here all done. Then I'll be sewing it down. That's it, guys. I've already fixed the zip on it. Then I've cut it. I use a longer zip, then tape the tip of the zip, right? So this is what we have now. So I'll grab my lining. So the same thing I did to this, sewing the sides, the front and back together and sewing like that. So that's what I have done here, right? So you can see I've done it and I've ironed it as well. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to be placing it. Remember that we are going to turn. So the first thing to do is to turn the tip of the waist, right? So I will zip it down this way. Then I'll be placing this. I'll mark the center point of my lining and the center point of my fabric, right? So remember the dart part, it has to meet. So you make sure that they are meeting. So this is the right side. So you place them right side of my lining and the right side of the fabric. So I'll make sure that all the points will meet. So the side that I have sewn here, this side here, has to meet with this side of my fabric, right? So place them right side face each other this way. Then the dart too has to meet this way. Then we are going to sew this. So you sew it into the zipper allowance, right? So you sew this into the zipper allowance this way. So you can remove this edge, right? The zip and point here. So I'm going to sew 1/2 inch all around this waist to the other side of the zip allowance. Then I'll be top stitching on the lining so that it does not flip up when I put on my skirt, after which I will turn it inside, right? So I'll do that. So guys, after finish turning the waist part and top stitching on the lining area, this is what we have. So this is what I have. So I'm just going to use it to turn the zip area, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to zip this down a little bit. Pay attention to how I'm going to turn this, right? So to have the zip neatly finished, right? So you can see the way I placed it. This is the lining side, this is the fabric side, as I've turned the waist part, right? So what I'm going to do is that this is for this. So I'm going to flip it this way, right? And I will fold it this way. I'll make sure that the side that I sew with the waist area is what is folding. So I'll place it this way and I will sew it close to the stitch that I have to when I fix the zip part, right? So you can pin it. So you place it this way, arrange it this way, and you have it equal to the end. Make sure that you don't sew this with it. So you can see the way I'm placing it. So what I'm going to do is that I can pin it, then turn it to this side. Then I'll sew it maybe 1/4 inch, right, before the stitch, the original stitch. So I'm going to sew it this way to the end, right? So after I finish sewing this part, then I will turn it to, I will open it back, then sew the other side as well. So let me do that. So after sewing one side, this is what we have. So you can see how neat it is, right? So this is what we have now. So I'm going to do the same thing to this other side as well. So one side is done. So I'm still going to do the same thing by placing it this way, then fold it in this way, right? Then I'm also going to sew this very close to this original stitch, right? So I'll sew it to the end. So I'll sew this to the end. So I'll do that. So here is what we have. After I finish sewing the other side, here is what we have now. So I'm just going to turn it out from here too. So you can go to your ironing table and give it a good press. So you see the way it is right now. This is it on the right side. You can see how neat it is. The zip neatly finished, right? Then on the wrong side, this is what we have. Inside neatly finished too. So this is it on the wrong side. This is the zipper area on the wrong side. So you can see the waist that is neatly finished. Then we also see the zipper part area too, also neatly finished. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to give it a deep press. Then we are going to measure what we have here. So measure this part round. Then what we have is what we are going to use as our flare to cut the flare, the radius for the flare. So I'm going to be cutting 360-degree flare, right? So that's like full circle. So I'll measure what I have here round, use it to cut a full circle. So here is the peplum. I've already cut it on my fabric and torn it with my lining, then added crinoline on it, right? So this is what we have. So this is 2-step. One is longer than one with 3 inches, right? So this is it. So if I hold it together, this is what we will be having, right? So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to place this one right side facing up this way. Then I'll bring my mid skirt. Then this is the down part of the skirt where we are going to be attaching to the peplum, right? So I will place it this way. So you can actually notch one side of the peplum where you want to be the front part. You can look at the pattern where you want the front part to be, right? So let me choose. You can look at it on my fabric. So this is the part I want to be to the front part, right? And I've notched it here. So I've also notched the center front too, which is here. So I'll place it this way. Then I'll be picking it from the down part. So this is what we have. So I'm going to be pinning it all through, and you can see that I've marked 1/2 inch. So I can either sew it from this side where I've also marked 1/2 inch. So I'm going to be sewing it like this all through, right? So I'll go ahead to sew it all through this way round. So I'll sew it with 1/2 inch, then I'm going to whip it. I already finished attaching it, guys. So I'm going to whip this area. I'll use my whipping machine to whip this area, right? So this is the first step and the second step. And this is what we have. Very beautiful. This is what we have. And this is the end of today's tutorial. I'll be showing you the final look. So this is how it came out. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. I'll be seeing you in my next one. Tell me what you think on the comment section. Bye.